All right, ladies and gentlemen, and Tuster,
Look at the
Thank you,
welcome.
that stuff.
Oh,
look at that Discord
hey guys.
layout he has.
Hey, cutie.
Hey,
Hey,
what's up?
welcome everyone. I am here live with Freestylers in Disguise. We are joined by members Nomad, Jimmer, and Saf. You guys, how you doing?
Doing
Doing
well.
pretty
Pretty
well.
good.
That is what's up. These guys are a very nice team. I've been following them for a while. Their team consists of Karma, Nomad, Safu, and Pepper. That's your current roster, if I'm correct.
Yep.
And yeah, you guys have been looking good. You guys had a pretty decent ROCS qualifier run, if I believe. You guys almost made it to league play,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like I said, it was a really nice run. But that's not what I came to talk about today. Well, it is a little bit, but what I wanted to talk about is you guys as a team, and we're gonna start all the way down at the beginning. Where did the name Freestyles in Disguise come from?
So,
No.
yeah, I was never a fan of names that took themselves too seriously. Like even like Genesis, um, those kinds of names. And I mentioned that when we were trying to come up with a name, we went under relax for a bit, but we didn't. Neither of us, and not any of us, really wanted that. So, Karma proposed the name Freestylers in Disguise, kind of as an homage to Ninjas in Pajamas, which I thought was a pretty good name. And Sathu absolutely hated it. Sathu was not a fan at all, but I kind of liked it, so we went with it.
That's awesome, guys. Oh man. So what I want to also talk about, since we are going back into the beginning, I wanted to talk about how you guys got started in Rocket League, and I want to go down the list here. Nomad, Jimmer, then Safu. Like, what brought you guys into the game?
All right, so I remember this was back when I was on PS4. Rocket League just came out for PS Plus, and my buddy Pedro uh, messaged me while I'm playing Destiny saying, "Hey, did you get Rocket League?" I was like, "No, what's that?" And he said, "It's the new PS Plus game. It's soccer with cars." And I said, "That sounds like the stupidest thing I have ever heard of." It was free, but it sounded so stupid that I was considering if it was even worth the space on my hard drive on my PS4. And I was like, but I'm playing Destiny right now. Do I really want to play this game? He convinces me to. We play 1v1 match, me versus Pedro. And like literally that match, I fell in love. Like it was very quick how fast I got hooked on this game.
That's awesome. What about you, Jimmer?
So PS Plus download. Um, maybe played, I don't know, 12 hours or so on PS4. Put it down. Didn't have any friends to play with. Win a game, lose a game. Win a game, lose a game. Said I can't do this. Um, it released on Xbox. I had some friends that I told about the game. Convinced them to pick it up. Played for maybe 500, 600 hours on Xbox and decided to build a PC and haven't really stopped since.
That's sick. Safu, my man. How'd you get into it?
Yeah, so like the other two, PS Plus. First month of the game, like I tried it, didn't really see much in it, and kind of dropped it again and went back to FIFA because I've always been into soccer-related games because I played all my life. A couple friends got me back into it, and ever since then, I've just been completely hooked, and I've never played a game as fun as this one.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I like to ask people about how they got into the game because, like me myself, I got the game off of PS Plus and I got hooked because before then I played Sarb, I played the demo with friends, and we always had a good time. So we were kind of following it a little bit, and once we knew the game came out for Plus, I just completely got into it, and I've never been the same ever since. I ended up building my own PC, getting into casting, and now interviewing players is, I guess, the new thing. Now I'm playing, but
Yeah.
so speaking of playtime, since the game has been out for a while, so I would kind of want to know who in the entire team has played the most.
Yo, yeah, that'd be me. I have about 4,200 hours, and that's non-AFK hours. All that is purely non-AFK hours. And I am counting PS4 a bit, but yeah, over 4,000.
I said I've been playing since SARP, and you probably have more hours than me. They just like my total career of the game. But so despite all that, and you guys kind of playing the game for an extended period of time, bouncing around from teams, what made this team specifically form up? Like, how did you guys get started? What's your story?
Sathu.
Yeah. So basically, it all started with Karma taking notice in us. Karma definitely had the most experience out of all of us because she had been on Vendetta, who had been in league play, and she saw basically two players with a lot of potential. She saw myself on That's Pretty Neat with Squillis and Subin, and then she saw Nomad on Iniquitous, and both of our teams had made very solid runs in the RLCS Season 2 qualifier, and so we tried a couple tournaments and it went really well, and we felt like we had some chemistry growing, so we kind of just went with it.
Yeah, that's a pretty decent way for teams to get started up, and as long as like team chemistry is something that's important. So we're gonna get into like how things go into a match. How are the team comms in game? Is it like actively constant call outs, or like what's really going on when you guys are in game?
So this actually has been almost like a point of disagreement for us. Karma generally prefers minimal comms. She doesn't like to have what she calls too much information for the comms. And what's interesting though is that it really did kind of switch back and forth. We had times when we would comm. Sathy is definitely about his comms. I'm about my comms. Karma would definitely kind of stop comms kind of randomly without even really telling us. So it kind of depended on like the day or even the game, the match, whether or not we were really calming.
Yeah, and that's interesting because I've seen other players, like an example, Selfless with Dapper and Miho. I saw them doing a 2v2 on Dapper stream the other day, and there was no talking at all. Like, what's like the premise behind that? Like, what does that mean?
Well, in a twos setting, and this is something that Sathy and I actually figured out a really long time ago.
Yep.
Comms are a lot different, and honestly, they aren't nearly as helpful. And I prefer minimal comms in twos. And I think so does Sathy now. What we found is that twos, you can read all the information yourself, and it's all you really need to do is just focus. That's all it is. So if you see like people playing twos tournaments, you'll notice that the comms might be a little bit less. That's probably one of the reasons why. It's just almost kind of like makes you play worse. That's where it really is a negative effect possibly. But in threes, since there's more information and there's more things to catch on to, a lot of times it is helpful. Or there's a lot of people find it helpful to use comms. Still, the example you use like Dapper and Miho, even in threes tournaments, Miho doesn't like comms that much. So it really kind of does depend on the player. But what it really comes down to is focus. Some people think they just focus better when they don't have to worry about comms at all, not listening to them, not giving them. Sathy and I have generally been in the camp of comms and threes is a good thing. So it really kind of does depend. But when people don't use comms, it does come down to just focusing on your own thing.
Okay. Yeah, so like we talk about how you guys are doing in game in terms of communication. We got some background like time played, just a lot of information pertaining to Rocket League. But what's it like after matches? Like, do you guys hang out, or like what's the team like out of games and out of Rocket League?
So we occasionally hang out. We talk a little bit. It kind of depends. For most of the time, our interaction is just Rocket League. Karma and I occasionally, we just talk. We played CS:GO together like once, but the main thing is we just talk. Sathy and I do like Rumble 1v1s and 1v1s, just regular 1v1s sometimes. Pepper and I basically only just play Rocket League together. pretty much because this is the only game I really play, especially only multiplayer game. But yeah, most of our outside of team interaction is just talking.
Okay, all right, that's cool.
Yeah.
So going back to you guys and how you guys play in game, what is FID's play style? Like, how do you guys play? Well, how do you guys think you guys play? I guess is the question.
Safety, you can take this one.
So, with FID's play style, it revolved around a lot of like rotation, knowing where each other were, really trying to take control of the game and see the passing, and really trying to break through the other team's defense patiently, like seeing the gaps in their defense and usually breaking through that through passing. Although all three of us are, I would say, very exceptional ones players, so that was like another tool in our arsenal. And so that was like what we would, I guess, fall back on if everything else failed, but that was a very rare occasion.
Yeah, Karma always pushed on patience. She'd always just use the word patience when talking about how we should be playing. And again, like it was kind of like a thing that was new to me. My previous team, Superposition, was the antithesis to this. It was the exact opposite of patience. The plan was everyone goes to the ball one at a time, but someone needed to be on the ball for every ball. And this team was more, you don't need to go for the ball if it's going to be a bad hit. Take your time, play off the other team if they're not going to do anything good. And that was the basis of how we wanted to play.
Okay, and I think it fared you guys pretty well. You guys had a great run, during the open qualifiers before being knocked out in the losers final to Atelier. But my question is, what was the open qualifiers like for you guys?
It was interesting because there was such a divide, and this kind of became one of the staples of our team. I'm not sure why, but our ability against pro teams versus our ability against other bubble teams became very, very lopsided. If you look at the match, what happened was, or the matches, if you want to look at Ohana as a pro team, we got swept by Ohana, and every other team except for Atelier, who ended up eliminating us, we swept them. So we lost 6 matches total, which is the bare minimum you can lose to get eliminated every other series. And this, not even like the pro teams really did this. Every other series, we did not drop a single game. So it actually really wasn't that nerve-wracking until we got to those pro teams. It can be kind of, a little bit nerve-wracking for a lot of teams when they're playing other bubble teams, or even the pros playing bubble teams, because those bubble teams take games off them sometimes, like what happened with Take 3. And then we got to Atelier, and it was just so much pressure. I really don't think either of our teams are playing to our max potential, not Atelier, not us. If you go back and watch the VOD, just the wonkiest things happen. There's 2 goals I think I scored because Sizz pulled off like a rookie, like 2 like straight up, veteran level, like fucking 200 hours of play level whiffs at net. It was actually insanity, and the ball just kind of rolled in. They got carried through that though because Matt was playing really well.
Yeah.
And that whole series was very intense. It was very, very, very nerve-wracking. Lots of back and forth. Definitely we made a lot of mistakes. Definitely we could have played better. Definitely we could have made league play. But that's how it goes. As I said, I said this to my team, Superposition, when we didn't make league play the week for season 2. All I said was just now's not our time, and that's it. Then was not our time.
So speaking of time, I want to talk about the future for you guys. What do you think the future for you guys, Freestylers in Disguise, as a team? What is that looking like?
Well, you're gonna have to ask me, Sathi, and maybe even Jimmer too, because we all have different perspectives on this. But it's very uncertain. Karma's being very busy right now. Sathi's taking time off, and I'm just kind of playing right now, trying to get my former teammate Pepper, who is now kind of on like, I guess he's considered main roster
Mhm.
because Sathu's away.
Mhm.
But the way it's officially is like Sathu and Pepper are kind of like rotational thirds. But for right now, Sathu's not playing in almost any threes tournaments. But it's just very unclear because um, just all of us are doing our own thing right now, and we're still bound together. And I still want to stay together
Mhm.
because not a lot of bubble teams have the dedication that at least Karma has, and that Sathu has when he's like really grinding it out.
Yeah.
Not when he's on his break, and that Pepper has when Pepper's really grinding it out and on his break. So we are looking to stay together, but nothing is set in stone 100%.
Okay. What about you, Safi? What do you think?
I would completely agree with what Nomad said. I think he put in a. I think he iterated it really well. Like he's completely right. It's been a lot of since RLCS qualifiers. There's been a lot of individualism, just working on our own thing. Uh, I've been doing threes recently, and I realized like because I took like a 2 or 3 week break, or maybe even 4 now, and the it really is something else compared to just normal ranked and such. Like it's faster. It's you really have to focus, and it it involves a lot of dedication, like Nomad said, and it is hard to find that with a team. So as of now, yeah, like it's hard to find a team like that with that much chemistry and dedication. But like he said, nothing is set in stone.
All right. And lastly, Jimmer, what do you think as the team's manager?
So I think we're all focusing on ourselves individually. Things are pretty slow. I mean, we have some weekly tournaments. There's the Astro monthly tournament, things like that. But um, those are 1 day tournaments. There's not a whole lot to strive for day in and day out. I mean, you want to win, but you don't have that much to. All right, well, we're here right now. We got to work hard because next week we got to play these guys, or
Right.
you kind of take it day by day. So I think individual focus is good. Taking that time, focusing on yourself, streaming, doing your YouTube stuff, investing in yourself as a player, and just making sure that you're moving in the right direction for yourself and for your team is certainly not a bad thing to do.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Like for you guys, like in terms of where things are now, like it's like off season for you guys right now. So I mean, early on in the off season, it's really up to you guys as to what you want to do, and this wouldn't be a better time to make that happen. I think. Moving on, Jimmer, I'm gonna dig into you a little bit because you're the team's manager, and not a lot of people know what team managers do. So can you kind of like give us a little bit of background as what you do for the team as a manager?
So there's not really like a guidebook necessarily to being a manager. I kind of just do what I think I can do to help the team. I've helped with putting together graphics or YouTube thumbnails or schedules, calendars, just trying to give some type of organization. I pretty much I strive to facilitate their needs. If they need something, my goal is for them to know as teammates and as individuals that they're more than welcome to come to me at any time with any issue, whether it's personal, Rocket League related, or they just need some help with some homework. Not that I'm intelligent, but if I don't know, I'll find out.
Okay.
I just want to be that person. If they want to say, hey, yo, how did I do today? And they played like poo. I mean, a friend will make you feel good. A good friend will tell you the truth. So I just try to be a good friend, I suppose. I don't know. It's really, really an awkward thing to be like a manager.
Yeah.
And I will want to add on something real quick.
Mhm.
I have had a manager before Jimmer, and you can have a manager that's detrimental to the team. Jimmer's definitely not. The last manager I had really didn't know how to be a manager. He was very, not very good at the keeping a team, communicating well. It was kind of the opposite. He was a good graphic designer, but it'd be the kind of thing a manager shouldn't do. He once kicked me off the team before I even knew there was a problem. Didn't really even talk to me that much. Yeah, the other people said they were unhappy with me, and what the ideal thing might have been to do was, all right, let me talk to him, see what's going on. But his response was instead, all right, let's kick him off the team and find someone who's not toxic. And he was the only one in our entire organization that actually thought I was toxic, and he was our manager, and that was
Right.
kind of weird.
Okay.
So what Jimmer does is the exact opposite, where when we have problems, I can go to Jimmer and use him as a vessel for communication when I feel like I cannot accomplish the same thing with my teammates, or I feel like my criticism is a little bit too harsh. So he can kind of be there to pretty much like just keep us together, which is what a good manager does. Keep a team happy together.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like just kind of like go off of like what you guys are talking about. Me and Jim we're really good friends. I met him back when they had a land in Madison, Wisconsin, and just automatically, he's a guy that you can like leave your car keys with. I mean, we've shared so many stories, and all in all, he is a really good friend. But I want to still kind of focus on the manager aspect. What got you into team managing?
So for me, I'm a bit older than the majority of the scene. I like helping out where I can. I work a lot, so that my schedule inhibits me from doing weekly stuff. Sometimes I'm on days, sometimes I'm on nights. So I can't have a consistent schedule. But I do try to tune in and watch and absorb as much as I can. And when I see these young men and women like developing and growing, there's something that bothers me that I have to watch them make mistakes that I know they shouldn't make. Like I know they wouldn't make if someone was there to tell them. Right, to guide them a little bit. So I thought, maybe that would be something that I can really do.
That's beautiful. No, I mean, but it is though. Like
Yeah.
Jimmer looks out for you guys, and I mean,
Definitely.
like that's something that's key for any team to have. You want to know that you have people on your side that you trust, that you can go and talk to, that will be able to help you out. Like even if I have issues, Jimmer's not my manager, but I talk to him because he's a good friend. And you want to have someone who you can both work with and be your friend, and that's something that's super key. So, moving on from that, Jimmer, I have a community question that apparently everyone wants to know. How do you keep your beard so magnificent?
That's a good question. If I had a good answer, I'd tell it to you.
We'll never know. But we're going to move forward from that. We'll find out one day, guys. Don't worry. I'm on it. We're going to move on to Safiu. So, me being a Rocket League caster, I've casted you specifically in multiple community tournaments. Which tournament organization is your favorite to play in, and why?
Okay. I gotta think about it. If I had to say favorite organizer, it'd probably have to be Nexus. There's multiple reasons going into this. One, I'd say the speed of their tournaments are, very nice because they use Discord. They have the bot where you report your scores and it instantly uploads it to Challenge, or however you pronounce that website. Basically, like, their staff, they all moved from the old market, and a lot of their people, Carry, Stump, and now Mr. Toasty Muffins, who's a new addition to their staff, have been nothing but helpful to me ever since I joined the community, especially Stump. Like, even back in my PS4 days when Mocket was the first organization that I had run into, he was there for me at all times, helping me set up my PC, helping me, like, showing me all the different tournaments around the place, really showing me how to, look for teams and also, like, get my name out there and such and sign up for tournaments. And he's still there at Nexus and still just as helpful as he was day one.
That's dope, and I'm glad to see that community organizers come and support their players. It's always good. Haven't casted for Nexus yet, which is kind of funny because I was like, I casted you in multiple community tournaments. So your favorite one is the one I haven't been in. Maybe you just don't like me. It's okay, but yeah, that's always dope. I'm glad that what I'm really glad for in the Rocket League community is that people really they take the time to help each other out. And that's been something that's happened for me since day one. Me and Toasty Muffins, we were in the same organization. We both came inside the same. I mean, that sounded weird, but we both were brought into the same organization, and we grew from there. And it's all from the help of everyone in the community. So moving on, how does Safu play? Like, what is Safu's play style?
Insane.
So,
oh.
See, here's the thing. I've always found it better. I don't understand my own playstyle. I had to have Sathu tell me I was a stupid NA player because I didn't even realize it at the time. I always think it's a little bit better from someone else's perspective. So, do you want me to answer this one, Sathu, or do you want to answer this one?
How about we both go at it? You start.
Okay. So, I've always thought of Sathu as a ground-based, kind of slow player who really wants to he really wants to dribble because that's one of his main qualities. He's got that one flick that other people are starting to do now, so he's not as special anymore, unfortunately. But before, he was the only one that did it, and it always threw people off. And he's really good at just putting in random, really well-placed angled shots on net, and he messes around the midfield is his biggest area, and pretty much just kind of honestly takes it a little bit slow, but as Sathu might say, everything seems slow considering how I play, but yeah, that's kind of my take on it. Midfield player, a little bit slow, dribble heavy, not aerial based type game.
Yeah, and I would definitely agree with that for the most part. I am very grind oriented, like he said. Which is funny because I'd never, especially coming from PS4, I was never a ones player. I was horrible at ones on PS4. I was only 2v2 and that was it. But once I got to PC, I really started grinding ones and it kind of stuck on me. And so I love to dribble all the time, and I'm known for my flicks. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but they're definitely dangerous. And the flick that Nomad was talking about, the one that I do all the time, is definitely a special one. And yeah, like he said, my air game, I was never really huge into it. Recently, I started really trying to get back into it, and because if I pretty much have most of the stuff on the ground all caught up with, then that means I just have more to improve on in the air. So I really started doing that, and it's been a challenge because just on the ground, the air, it's just it's its own thing. You have to you have to know what to do in so many different scenarios, and it's hard for me because I am a patient player. So it's tough to know when I have to go up and not and challenge and such. So yeah, so I would say I benefit a lot off of my positioning because I'm a patient player. Recently, after getting back into threes, I was a little bit of a ball chaser, but then I realized like that's not how I play, and I got back into it, and it's worked like a charm since. And I'd say I'm pretty conservative with the random like dribble I'll throw in there. That's just weird, but I'd like to say it works most of the time.
Okay, that's good. I mean, you definitely know your mechanics on the ground, to say the least. We're gonna move though off the topic of mechanics in game to something that's that affects the game heavily, but it's not a mechanic. Well, maybe it is, but we're gonna talk about team chemistry. This is specifically for you, though, Safi. How important is team chemistry to you?
Team chemistry. I mean, I think chemistry is absolutely huge, especially in this part of the game where the meta really is advancing and team play is becoming bigger and bigger. Knowing where your teammates are pretty much at all times is huge. Like, and being able to communicate with them, like Nomad had said earlier, how Nomad and I are big on comms is another huge part of really just being able to know where each other are. Now, there is a point where, well, for some teams, like you said, where they comm not as often, it's because they've played so much together that they know where each other are instantly anyway. But I'd say chemistry is the glue of a team, and it really can, like I said, make or break a team. You can have 3 superstars on a team, but if they don't know how to play together, they're not going to do that well. You've seen a lot of teams that have been bubble teams, but they've stayed there, not because they've had the best players, but because they really know how to play together, and they've been playing together for a long time. That's actually who I was thinking of. Vertical Sweep is a great example because they've been together forever, and they still take series off of very solid teams.
Yeah, I agree with that because I got Vertical Sweep in my Smash Fantasy because I had that faith.
Yeah,
I think I had you guys in there too. Okay. I have the faith when I have it, but gonna go a little bit off topic here on this next one. I've noticed you stream a couple of times, and I've seen you pop into my stream and tell me about my playlist. So I wanted to know, what kind of music do you listen to while you're playing Rocket League?
always rap and hip hop, like nothing else. I have another playlist for like summer music, which is basically just like alternative rock, but I barely even listen to that. It's always rap and hip hop. And if I'm in a tournament and I'm really trying to get hyped up and such, I'll cue certain songs just because of like the vibe they give off. Usually energetic. So, artists always Tory Lanez, Anderson .Paak, J. Cole, old Lil Wayne, not new Lil Wayne, because that's important.
Yeah.
Drake, Kanye, ASAP Rocky, and Future. Those are my big ones, probably, I'd say. And Kendrick recently.
Yeah.
Oh, his new album's great.
Oh, yeah. I love it. We all can agree on something there, that new album's hot.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, I mean, that's cool that you dabble into rap and hip-hop. I do so much that I've made some songs, but this ain't about me. We're actually going to move on, though, to Nomad. We're going to wrap it up, guys, give Nomad his last few questions. Chat, if you guys have something you want to ask the team, now would be the perfect time, because if not, then we're going to just wrap it up. But Nomad, so I want to go into some history with you. You've played with Pepper on the team Superposition for about 5 months or so. What's it like having him as a teammate?
So, Sathu is probably hoping right now this doesn't take 2 hours.
He's right.
Yeah, so Pepper, we have such a long history, and the kid really isn't like anyone else I know on the scene, and there's a lot of things that make him very unique. The first is that he does not have a lot of hours. He has under 2,000 hours, but he can pull off things that I have never seen before. He's got a lot of this natural ability, which is super cool because he brings a lot of just pure natural talent to the team. And he's also a very selfless people. A lot of people who are like that, the people who just immediately have that talent, they get really cocky and they tend to be maybe even a little bit toxic. and blame their teammates when things go wrong, but Pepper will literally never fault his teammates for anything unless they're really bad. Like, I have never heard him criticize my play once, which is kind of a good thing, kind of a bad thing. You know, I don't get the feeling that he thinks I'm bad pretty much ever, but I also don't get any good criticism from him, from his perspective. And the biggest drawback is that he gets pretty tilty. He's still pretty young. He's very mature for his age. He's 15 years old. I would not want to team with most of the 15-year-olds in this community. Pepper is an exception, but he gets pretty tilted, and that same kind of like lack of focus on his teammates means that he puts more focus into himself. And when he just does anything even slightly bad, like there's a tournament where we swept Momentum. We're at the time one of the best in North America. Me, Pepper, Klexic, and Pepper got tilted afterwards, and we ended up doing a lot worse afterwards because Pepper didn't score enough goals. He was upset that he didn't score enough goals when we swept one of the best teams in North America at the time. So he's got his upsides and downsides, but like I said, I can go on for a really long time, so I'll end it here.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you guys clearly have like a history that it speaks volumes.
We've been teamed together, or we've been on and off of teams together longer than Jacob and Fireburner have been together. The only duo that I know of in like the pro scene that's been together longer is Cuxer and Marky Duda. And if we made like league play, would probably be the longest duo that was together in league play. So, besides Marky and Cux.
That's crazy. That's some dedication to a teammate. I have to say. So like moving on, what has been the toughest challenge for you in your Rocket League career?
So the biggest hurdle was actually quite a long time ago, back when I played on PS4. See, I didn't know this at the time, and Sathu knows that was in the same boat. And there's a reason Sathu and I never got as good on PS4 as like Dapper or Miho or Insel. We actually played on a flat screen TV instead of a monitor. And I found out later, after trying to go back to PS4 and playing on a TV, and then trying to play on PS4 on a monitor, I could actually do PS4 on a monitor. It's a little bit worse. Like the input delay, which no one ever told me about, this massive input delay, was definitely noticeable on the monitor, but it was literally unplayable on the TV. And I had no idea at the time. So in the beginning, because of my faulty equipment, people were passing me up. I was putting in all of these hours, and we mentioned earlier how much hours I put in because I really wanted to get good at this game. And I was like, why are these people passing me up? And it made me really doubt myself. Like, maybe like there's a certain quality these people have and I don't have it, and I'll never be good at this game. And I had these kind of doubts all of the time because it felt like I'd only go backwards despite how much work I put into it. Once I moved to PC, and all of a sudden my work was just starting to pay off, and I was getting better at the rate I should have considering my hours, then everything just immediately got a lot better. It didn't fix everything. There's still periods where I kind of wanted to quit because I felt like nothing was going my way. And I missed a lot of time, a lot of formative years for the scene that I could have been playing better, getting my name out there, instead of, just being kind of irrelevant because I wasn't playing as well as the other guys. I missed out on all that because of the time I spent with faulty equipment. But everything just got so much easier.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate to that a little bit. Like, I started on PS4 with a crappy TV, and Rocket League has me like upgrade all the way to the playing on a nice PC on a monitor. My rank went up like one division. I'm now like my highest rank was like champ last season. Like, okay, so PS4 I was like, what is a rising star until I got my PC, and then I immediately just bumped up to champ, and I was like, oh, exactly. this is different. Okay, all right.
See, the interesting thing was, like, I look back at it. At the time, I was kind of like ashamed of how bad I was considering how much hours I put in. Made me feel like I was kind of like inadequate.
Right.
And now when I look back at it, I'm impressed at how far I got on PS4, all things considered. Because I actually managed to get to platinum. I don't know if you remember like the gold, silver, bronze, platinum area where platinum was top 100. So I got to top 100 on PS4 with my TV and all that bad setup stuff. And like all things considered, that's actually pretty good. That's nothing too bad. At the time, it just wasn't enough because I should have been, I was putting in more hours than even the pros were, and I felt like I should have been getting up to where they were, and I wasn't. But yeah, now in hindsight, I was doing pretty well for myself.
Oh yeah, and then I'm happy that the fact that you stuck in it regardless of all the challenges that were in your way.
Yeah, I have a very obsessive personality. I tend not to let go of things very easily.
Yeah, I mean,
not much of a quitter.
That's good though, because like your progress shows. It definitely has shown, and you guys, although you guys didn't make it to league play, you were literally one series off, and I mean, you guys literally you're right there. You're right there, and it'd be a totally different outcome if you guys had made it. Like, we probably wouldn't be talking right now because you guys would be so busy worried about a match coming up next week or.
No, we'd probably find time to talk.
That's love. I appreciate that. That's love. That's true.
Anything for you, Daz.
You can always find time for Snazzy Dazzy.
Very true.
Okay, thank you guys. I appreciate you. One last question for you, Nomad. If you could give players one tip on how to improve in Rocket League, what would it be?
So besides that whole spiel about difference in equipment, get good equipment. It might seem like, oh, I want to get good and be good despite my equipment, and like that was my mentality. Just get the monitor, even if you're on PS4, get the monitor. Switch to PC if you really want to take it seriously. Do all that stuff. It's worth it. Do it early. Don't make the mistake I did. Beyond that, really, it's about being smarter with your playtime. If you really want to get better, it's not about just chugging out the hours. So much of this game, maybe even more than other games, is about where your head's at, where your confidence is at, where your mentality is. You're going to need to put in a lot of hours to get really good at this game. Undoubtedly, you don't have to put in as many hours as I did. The reason my hours are so high, considering where I am, most people with my amount of hours are in the pro scene right now, is partly because of the equipment stuff and partly just because a lot of it were just not good hours. Keep yourself healthy. Keep yourself, healthy, like mentally and physically healthy. And put the time in, make it effective, really try to learn. Don't play mindlessly. You'll build in bad habits. That's the biggest tip. Don't mindlessly play. If you're really looking to get better, it's got to be genuine hard practice.
Yeah, I agree. Like putting the time in and making useful time is making use of your time is one of the key things that you need to improve. So that concludes everything that I had written down for you guys. But one thing I want to ask you before you guys go, this is going to be for everyone. In terms of Rocket League and the scene as an esport, the game, like what are your guys' thoughts on where it is now and the future?
I'll go first on this one. So it's Rocket League is in like this period where it's beginning to get big, and it really is going to come down to, do casual viewers like to watch Rocket League? I can watch Counter-Strike. I find it entertaining. Will other people like me who have a similar relationship to Rocket League that I have to Counter-Strike, will they find that interesting? And that's the question that we're trying to find the answer, because Rocket League has a huge player base, not as big as Counter-Strike or Dota. It's got a huge player base though. It's got long-term playability. It's not like a burn short and bright type game, and it's been showing. The player base has been rising over time, and most of the time with games it drops. So that's all there. It has this great potential. That's the big what if in terms of what is completely out of our control. Like, is this something that's really watchable? I think it is, but I'm not a casual viewer, so I really can't answer that question. And then the next part would be, are the people running it going to do a good job? And Psyonix has my complete support. One of the best game devs out there. These guys, they never fail to amaze me. Anytime I begin to doubt them, they always come back and they throw out an awesome update. They throw out some awesome news. They have these great plans. They are the definition of competence in a game dev. Like, there's always going to be things wrong with the game, and people are going to complain about them. Most of the time, it's irrational. But if it's going to come down to, if the viewership is something that's not going to be a problem, and it's going to come down to how well it's run, it's a community-based game. We got people like Jimmer out here who are volunteering their time. There's a lot of Jimmers out there who are really helping the scene. And the devs behind the game are all about it. As long as it's got that viewership, it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be like a great thing. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, I wholeheartedly agree. I think we have a lot of good people supporting the game, and like with that and with how amazing the community is, everything looks like it's moving forward in a good way. Sephew, what do you think, man?
I mean, I would agree with Nomad in every sense of that discussion. I completely trust Psyonix. They're very responsive to the community. They're really trying to do what's best for the game. Like with the whole land only being $300,000, but then they come out with what they're really doing with all that money. I thought that was great to hear, with them investing in the long term rather than just the short term. The game itself is phenomenal. We've never really had anything like it. Like, other soccer games like FIFA, a lot of the stuff is AI controlled, while in Rocket League, everything's up to you, and it's a team of 3, and your training really does pay off. It's not up to random number generators, all that. It's really like you do all the work. Mm-hmm. And you don't really have, you don't really have a game like it with like that sense of like an actual sport, along with like this amount of like practice and such and grinding. And so I think it has a great future as long as everything goes smoothly with, production, viewership, the actual game itself and the company backing it up. And as long as the money's put in the right places, I see this game lasting for many years.
Yeah, and lastly, Jimmer, what do you think?
So I think that Rocket League as a game is the first game to bridge the gap between traditional sports and esports. It's easy enough to sit down and start watching and pretty much understand what's going on. But it's like, it makes you, even just watching it makes you want to play it. Right? Yeah. You're like, I could do that, and then you pick up a controller and realize I can't do that. It's compulsive. It's addicting. It's enjoyable. The community is by far the best community that I've ever seen. And I think that truly helps this game stand up.
Yeah. I mean, like, you guys pretty much nailed it in terms of that. Like, we have a great community. We have great support from devs, great support from Twitch. Like, everything to promote Rocket League is in the place. And we've seen the numbers go up, and everything is moving forward in the right direction. So, I 100% agree with all you guys. One, I just want to thank you guys, for just taking the time out to answer my questions, come on stream, talk to me in front of a semi-live audience. It's pretty live in chat. I love you guys. I really appreciate you guys coming out, man.
Of course.
I certainly appreciate you having us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
No problem. All right, guys. That's going to conclude the interview with Freestylers in Disguise. If you guys want to see the questions in full, they'll be uploaded to Reddit and rocket-league.com shortly afterwards. As for the stream, guys, I'm going to end up ripping it here, and then we'll try to see if we can export it to YouTube later. Also, be sure to join me in just about an hour. We're going to have someone else on stream, DM Rawlings. He's going to be talking to us about RLCS and the potential tiebreaker scenarios and all things about RLCS in terms of the stats. That'll be in roughly an hour and about an hour and 12 minutes. But again, Freestylers in Disguise, thank you for joining me. Thank you guys in chat for joining me as well. I'll be back soon. And if I don't see you, have a nice day. And we are gone.